YouTubers, so we're just starting off where we left. We had just added our drag sprite script to the pot and we had finished putting the animation on the flames, so we can just play the scene and we'll have the animation playing. There's a mask that's been put on there. If you missed that, go to the mask lesson. And now what we're going to do is create the interactivity. So when we drag the pot over the fire, that there will be a reaction that it will understand that the pot is either over the fire or not on the fire. And when we do that, we can create, say for instance, different animations. So in this case, we'll make a bubbling water animation where the bubbles will come out. And if you move the pot away from the fire, the bubbles will stop. So in order to do that, we're going to create some scripts. So to do that, we need to add two things, and one is a rigid body. And because this is a 2D scene, we're just going to use the 2D rigid body. And we're going to also take the gravity off. If I leave the gravity on, it will actually just fall to the screen. So I can show you what that looks like. It's quite useful for some things, but not for what we're doing today. So we'll just turn that off. And we also need to add a collider. So collider 2D. And make sure that you use the collider 2Ds. There are different versions. So if you use just the rigid body and just the collider, which are not the 2D versions, this code won't work. So just double check that. Okay, so now that we've got our colliders added, we need to also add one to the fire. So we'll grab that and we're going to add a box 2D collider, so hiding down here, and we'll just do the same. So here we need to edit the size of the collider. So you'll notice here that the actual collider, the little green thing here, is really tiny. So we'll put that up to, I think, about 150. Might be a little bit big, but we can always change it. 120, let's do that. Let's do that then. 120, and we also need to do this for the pot as well. 120. And on the pot, because we're going to be using the script on this one, we're going to say that it is a trigger. So it understands when it's been triggered that it's going to play a certain piece of code. So just double check that everything's there. So you've got your rigid body on your pot. It's a simulation and it's got no gravity, and it also has a box collider that we need to make sure it's edited to the right size and that it's a trigger. So that's great. And same with the fire, that's all set up. So this one, we don't need it to be a trigger, but we just need to make sure that we can see it when we need it. So that's great. Okay, so onto the code. We're going to create a new script. And I think we'll just call this collision manager. Create and add, edit script, and we'll just get it setting itself up to see whether it's getting any collisions. So to do that, we are going to type a void D and make sure that, oops, the 2D is capitalized, otherwise it won't work. Remembering this is an inbuilt function, so, and here we're using collider, whoops. It's still not coming up with it, that's annoying. Let's just put in a little test just to see if it's working. So anyway, this is going to work with the 2D collider that if our hit areas are triggered, that it will debug a log, which just means that it's going to print a little line in the console to say that it's hit another object. So let's give that a little test to see if it's actually working. So it knows that it's hitting the fire, so that's great.